Here's a highlight from a recent episode of Booked on Rock. Moving in Stereo, Rick Ocasek, The Driving Force of the Cars is the book. Our guest is the author, Peter Aaron.
Maxanne Sartori, incredibly popular, not just to the car story, but to just the history of Boston rock and roll. She was on WBCN, which was at the time was kind of an upstart, sort of a hippie FM station. What it was called progressive music at the time, which was basically rock that was not cloying, attempting to have top 40 AM radio hit type music. Bands could stretch out and play longer songs and play music that had a deeper feeling to it. And she was very well informed and very, very much ahead of the curve for what was cool up there. I mean, Dave Robinson in our interview for the book, talked at length about how she was so cool. She always knew all the coolest bands before anybody else did, and turned them on to so much music. Rick in particular, she became like a mentor to Rick, and he listened obsessively to her show, which was on in the afternoon, prime drive time on WBCN. And WBCN was sponsored a street fair in Newbury Street or Back Bay area. And one of the bands that got on the bill was Cap'n Swing. And Rick had published a chapbook of poetry and went up to meet her and say he was a fan and gave her this signed book of poetry. And that led to him giving her tapes of Cap'n Swing. And she played some of the stuff on the show. It did it okay as far as audience reception, but nothing amazing. But they became closer friends, and she would play him all kinds of new music that became influential to him. And then after they had this kind of ill-fated showcase gig at Max's Kansas City in 1976, she helped kind of push him into trying some different ideas and some moves that clicked and became the Cars. And then when she started playing the Cars demos on early demos of My Best Friend's Girl and Just What I Needed on WBCN, the radio went nuts. Like they were became most requested songs on the station, and those songs were getting reported in the trade journals. And so these major label record industry people would see the Cars, Just What I Needed, and instead of where in the chart where there would be the name of the label that the recording was on, it would just say tape. And so that caught the eye of some of these labels, and it just so happened that the sister of someone from Elektra was going to Harvard, and the Cars would play at dances at Harvard frequently, and she talked her brother into coming up to see the band, and a couple other labels were snooping around, and that's how they got signed.